For 2 years, I lived with my college roommate, Jason, in a small house near the campus we used to go to. Despite having been roommates at college for a year before this, we still weren't the closest of friends or anything. We just both had similar plans for after college, so moving in together made sense for the time being. The first year or so went really well. We got a lot closer and enjoyed living together enough to renew the lease for another year. This happened in June, 2 months after renewing the lease. After a normal late night at work, I got home and talked to Jason for a while. Then we both called it a night and went to bed. However, in the middle of the night, I woke up to the floorboards creaking in the hallway. They were walking slowly, going toward the main area of the house. I rolled over and looked at the clock, seeing it was 3 a.m. I thought Jason was just getting some water or something. I don't know. At the moment, I didn't care either, and just went back to sleep. In the morning, I had to go to work early, so I was kind of rushing to leave, but Jason opened his door, looking tired, and asked me something I wasn't expecting. He asked what I was doing walking around the house in the middle of the night. I was immediately taken aback. I said I wasn't, but had thought I heard him walking around. The conversation basically ended at that though, with both of us confused at what we both heard, because I had to leave for work. Honestly, I thought our floors or walls must have just been creaking from the wind hitting the house or something, if it really wasn't Jason. When I got back home, Jason was at work, so I spent most of the night just chilling in my room, and eventually, around the same time as last night, I went to bed. But then again, I woke up around the same time to the floorboards making that same creaking sound. This time, rather than going right back to sleep, I tried to listen more carefully. It sounded exactly like someone slowly walking through the hallway and into the living room. Once they got to the other side of the house, I couldn't hear anything for about 30 seconds and decided to get up and check on it. I opened my door and walked down to the living room, but Jason wasn't in there. As far as I could tell, there was nothing there that could explain what I heard. I went back to my room and went to sleep. What I found so strange about it was that the sound moved through the house. Like if it was just the home creaking, why did it slowly go across the house like that? I mentioned it to Jason in the morning, and neither of us could come up with any ideas. Jason was off this day, but at 2 I had to go to work. I didn't make it back to the house until nearly 11. When I did and walked down the hallway to my room, I was surprised to see Jason still up. I just saw him in the corner of my eye, sitting on the bed in his room as I passed by the doorway. I called out "what's up" as I went over to my room, but Jason didn't respond. I thought it was kind of weird, but maybe he just didn't hear me, so I continued into my room. I took off my work uniform and put on some regular clothes. I left my room to go to the kitchen and get some food, but I noticed Jason's light was off in his room now. When I passed by, I looked in just to see if he was good. He was still sitting on his bed in the corner, now just in the dark, so I could barely see him. "Hey, what's up, Jason? You alright?" I called out. After a few seconds of him not responding, I just left the doorway and went to the kitchen. This was definitely weird, but I didn't know what else to do. Obviously, I wasn't going to just march into his room for no reason, just so he'd respond to me. But it did seem really odd he didn't at least just say hi or whatever. I was in the kitchen for maybe 15 minutes, then headed back to my room. Jason's door was closed when I passed by. For a whole hour, I stayed in my room, but then I heard that sound. The floorboards creaking right in the hallway. I looked over, and suddenly something moved under the door. I listened to the creaking continue, but with my last couple interactions with Jason being weird, I figured I would just text him this time to ask if it was him walking around. I waited a couple minutes, then I finally got a response. Jason sent me a question mark, then followed up with, "What do you mean? I'm not home right now." My face went pale, and my eyes shot over to the door. I got up and hurried into the hallway. No one was there, but the door to Jason's room was now open again. I quietly stood there and listened, but didn't hear anything. I walked over and peered through the doorway. Standing in the center of the pitch-black room was an unknown man. Even in the dark, now that he was closer and standing up facing me, I could tell he was taller and had a thick beard, two distinct features different from Jason that I couldn't see before. Without any more hesitation, I ran out of the house. I called the police immediately, standing on the other side of the road. When they got there, whoever that guy was gone. Strangely, there were no signs of where he entered or exited the house from, aside from a window that was partially unlocked, but it didn't seem to have been opened recently. What's really disturbing is knowing that he was likely the cause of the creaking floorboards for the last several days in the middle of the night, meaning he was inside walking around the house while we were sleeping. Even more creepy is trying to figure out why he was in Jason's room, just sitting on his bed and seemingly waiting for something. Interestingly, in the last few days, that was the one day that Jason had off and that I worked, meaning Jason would be alone pretty much all evening. This makes me think the unknown man somehow knew this and was waiting to catch Jason off guard while he was alone. This would explain why the man was in Jason's room waiting, and why he didn't do anything to me. But fortunately, Jason happened to go hang out with a friend for most of the night. Whatever the case, we probably won't ever know the man's true intentions, unless it's too late.